This is The Scoop for Monday.
I'm Megan Bowman with the WMNF News headlines. Hurricane Debby made landfall around 7 a.m. this morning in the Big Bend area of the state in Steinhatchee. At a press conference this morning, Governor Ron DeSantis says flooding will be seen from the Sarasota-Bradenton area all up the coast of Florida. DeSantis says Debby has taken a similar track that Hurricane Idalia took almost a year ago.
We have seen significant storm surge. We have seen inundation. We have seen and will continue to see flooding in various parts of the state of Florida.
Florida Division of Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie says many streams and rivers are rapidly rising.
We've already experienced 10 to 12 inches of rain in some portions of Southwest Florida, to include Sarasota and Manatee County.
Meanwhile, the Florida Division of Emergency Management posted to X, formerly Twitter, this morning, reminding people that driving through flooded areas may result in vehicle fire or damage, becoming stranded, or the loss of life and property. They say turn around, don't drown. At a media briefing yesterday, Governor Ron DeSantis described the state's effort to construct flood control devices at utility stations in advance of Hurricane Debby.
First time we've ever done this with utility. So there have substations. We're going to have a lot of water. If those substations flood, that's going to cause power interruption.
DeSantis says the flood control devices have been provided to those areas.
We think that that's going to be able to mitigate some of the power outages that we're going to be doing. That's the first time Florida has ever done the flood control devices at utility stations, and we have had a few local communities that have really embraced it, and it's been effective.
The governor says that emergency workers pre-staged more than 30,000 bottles of water, over 160,000 meals, and nearly 14,000 tarps in the parts of the state where Debby is expected to impact. U.S. Representative Kathy Castor says workers in Florida's signature heat need more protections. WMNF's Tyler Oldano reports.
The heat has reached triple digits in some places this summer, and it's having an effect on those who work outside. The Florida Policy Institute found that 1 out of 4 people in the state are highly vulnerable to extreme heat. But a recent state law now restricts local governments from requiring companies to protect their employees from heat exposure. The state's new heat regulations for businesses, outlined in House Bill 433, went into effect on July 1st. Now, Castor says it's the community's responsibility to protect each other.
We do not have a partner in the governor and the folks in Tallahassee, so it's up to all of us to act on our own, to act in this election, and then to look out for our neighbors.
Florida has the highest rate of heat-related illness nationwide, and East Tampa has been identified as a high-risk zone for heat illnesses due to the high number of residents with asthma or who live in homes without insulation and can't afford air conditioning bills. Castor says that federal agencies like OSHA need to adopt standards for heat protection, not just in Florida, but nationwide.
We're waiting for them to get that proposed rule out so that it can be adopted. It couldn't be any more important in this day and age, as these brutally hot days just weigh on our families and weigh on our workers.
A White House press release says if finalized, the new standards could help around 36 million workers nationwide. But Florida Policy Institute senior analyst Alexis Tsoukalis says even if OSHA implements the new guidelines, it could take several years to go into effect. And there would still be workers who are ineligible, as the proposed rules carve out an exception for companies with less than 10 workers. Tsoukalis says in an ideal world, if companies did their best to mitigate heat risks for their workers, government intervention would probably not be needed.
It's just wild to me because without air conditioning in Florida, the state is basically unlivable. It's been that way for as long as it's been a state. It's basically a swamp, and it's only getting worse.
Tsoukalis says heat protections need to be part of the state infrastructure and not have communities bear the burden. Additional reporting by Megan Bowman is included in this report. Tyler Oldano, WMNF News, Tampa.
For weather today, expect more showers and thunderstorms that will produce heavy rainfall with a high near 86. And tonight that will continue. Your low is around 79. I'm Megan Bowman with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.